Welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope your day's off to a great start. Hope your week is the same as we've hit the midway point here on this Wednesday, August 28th. Coming to you from Bloomington, Indiana. Pretty nice weather out there. The night after Archie made his debut public visit to Evansville, Indiana, we'll have complete coverage of that for you. Was able to meet with Archie beforehand, and then, of course, he met with the public. Man, he was with if you didn't go, if you live in the Evansville area and you didn't go, you missed a grand opportunity for a couple of reasons. Archie had not been to Evansville before, so that was, publicly, he's been there numerous times on recruiting visits. But not only was that the first visit to Evansville, that was by far the most intimate setting I have personally seen him in publicly. A great little environment at the Shoulders Family Commons at Evansville Harrison High School down there in Evansville, of course. Pat, Ben Shoulders, kudos to those guys for putting that together. Pat Shoulders, member of the Board of Trustees for Indiana University. You could tell he's very proud of his Hoosier heritage and does great things down there, like bringing IU health to that community, apparently. But not only was that the most intimate setting, it was the longest I've seen Archie speak publicly. He talked for about 30 minutes and then did a question and answer session afterwards, then took pictures with everybody that wanted one. So Archie stuck it out, man. Lot to talk about. There was a lot talked about last night. We'll get into all of it. One of those things, the Jerome status update on Jerome Hunter, which probably would bring a smile to a lot of people's faces today when they read that. Although he's not yet cleared to play, he's practicing with the team. He continues to progress. Medical determinations whether or not he can play this season have not been made yet, Archie said last night. He was the 51st ranked player in his class in 2018. Sidelined with that leg condition, missed out on the entire season last year. He's been working out, been involved in the basketball activities, team activities, and I think he played in workouts and practices. It's still going to be a while, at least, before medical decisions can be made on his availability to play this season, though. You know, he's a guy that can do a lot. Shoot from the outside, get to the rim. He's got some size. According to Archie, Jerome finished our summer program and he pretty much participated in everything we did. Archie Miller said Tuesday night, speaking to the Shoulders Family Lecture Series. He had very little setback. Obviously, it's less intense programs in terms of contact and all the banging that goes on in the actual season. He's getting ready for the start of his fall in the same sort of program where he continues where he continues to listen to the doctors and the plan they put on him as far as their rehab perspective. We'll try to get that particular clip pulled up. But we'll hear from Archie entirely in much more length later in the show. But lots that he brought up last night. Talked about being in Evansville for the first time. He really didn't fail to show his love for Evansville. It's kind of funny. Wanted to make sure that people knew that he loved Evansville. And he spends a lot of time there. It was kind of like, a lot like the statement, You're cutting out. Say that again. Had I played the clip yet?
Evans, excited.
Yeah, that statement sounded familiar. It sounded like when he was recruiting Romeo. I know the way to New Albany. He knows the way to Evansville, no doubt. He has invested a lot of time, a lot of trips down to see Mr. Christian Lander, the 5-star ball handler out of Evansville Rights. This is a dead period, so he wasn't there. So, but Evansville Harrison, as the Todd Father Todd Leary calls it, Calvert Cheney High School. Speaking of the Todd Father, he was there with us last night. Todd got a lot of love from Archie and beforehand, so it was great to see that. But Archie definitely expressed his love for Evansville. Let's hear what he had to say.
Excited. I love Evansville. I really do. It's been one of the places that I've really enjoyed coming down to in my recruiting. The people that I've met here in terms of being not only in town and obviously back on campus, I can get that feeling like I do a lot of places in the state, but in particular Southern Indiana and moving over here, that there's great passion for not only our program, but Indiana University in general. And I think, when you look at the history of our program, it doesn't hurt that Calvert Cheney came out of this town, came out of this school, and had the career that he had, which speaks volumes. And like I say, everywhere I go, we're looking for that next great one. And, we're hoping that Evansville one day can, bring a young guy to our add to the tradition and whatnot.
We're hoping Evansville can one day bring a young man to our program and he can add to the tradition. Know anybody like that? Oh, yeah, that Christian Lander kid that everybody in the free world is chasing now. Offers from everybody. Indiana, Michigan, Louisville, Kentucky, Kansas. I can't remember if there's a Duke offer in there yet. Maybe not Duke yet. But Archie talked about a lot of things. He talked about Jerome Hunter as well. Basically giving an update on his status and what that is at the moment. Let's hear what Archie had to say about Jerome Hunter.
Finished our summer program, and he pretty much participated in everything that we did. Very little setbacks. Obviously, it's a less intense program, just in terms of contact and all of the banging that goes into the actual season. But he's getting ready to start off this fall the same sort of program where he continues to listen to the doctors and the plan that they put on him as a rehab perspective. He's cleared, obviously, to do everything that he can do with us. And I think it's just kind of a wait and see day by day each week as we add things. And, the fall or our preseason gets pretty intense to see what he can handle. And, if he needs some time to step away, to rest, recover, whatever that may be, he's got to be honest with that. But we're pleased. He's in a good way personally. And, as we get ready to get started, we had our first sort of team workout of the fall today, and he did a nice job. And, he's nervous. He's anxious. He's excited. And it's good to see a guy like him have that smile and that eagerness to be a part of what's going on. Anytime you deal with any type of an injury and you have to sit and you're removed from activities, it's frustrating. So it's good to see him smile and be in a good, positive way this fall so far.
How's he dealt with mental aspects? If you take something away from somebody that they...
It's very, very difficult. In particular, guys handle it in different ways. And, for a guy like him, basketball means a lot to him. It's something that's been a part of, his life. One of the reasons he's, able to do what he's doing right now, in school pursuing a degree has a lot to do with the game of basketball. So all of our guys, but in particular him, you take that thing away from him for the very first time, and they have to realize there's more to what's going on than just the game. You watch them adjust, you watch them handle adversity in certain ways, and with all ups and downs, emotional highs and lows, I thought he did a good job, and he worked really hard. He didn't have a normal, hey, I sprained my ankle type of a rehab. He had a lot different type of rehab, which was a lot of trial and error and listening to.
That was Archie Miller talking about Jerome Hunter. We'll have the full meeting with the media in the next hour. That's actually the most pointed questions. There's also a Q&A session. If you want to follow any of this, any of Indiana Sports Beat Radio's videos, you can follow our YouTube channel. I post everything there. Every video, every interview that we do on camera, everything post game, press conferences, all of that goes to Indiana Sports Beat's YouTube channel, by the way. So follow it there if you don't want to miss anything. We're one of the few media outlets that also provides media or video with a lot of our interviews as often as possible. But you can also follow me on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB for complete updates as well. But also our Facebook page. So you can find us about anywhere. But we got a lot of videos. Everything's posted there on the YouTube channel, Indiana Sports Beat. We got a lot more to get to with Archie Miller, as a matter of fact. We got a lot more to listen to. A lot of things said last night. It was funny because I don't think Archie's first love is public speaking. If you had to, you put a gun to my head, I'd probably say that Archie'd probably rather be kicked in the nuts than stand up there and speak publicly. Which it's a lot of people feels that way, but he did a great job of it for being out there as long as he was. Like I said, that's the longest I've seen him speak. Generally in press conferences after games, it's maybe 15 minutes and that's over. And that's strictly a question and answer session. Huber's, he gets up there and talks. That's probably for about 15, maybe 20 minutes, but probably closer to 15 minutes, to be honest with you. And then it's over. It's other people. This was all Archie. He spoke for about a half an hour before doing the Q&A. So it was without a doubt the most intimate access I've seen of Archie since he's been here for the general public, and definitely the longest amount of time I've seen him spend in a venue. So kudos again to Pat and Ben Shoulders for getting that done, and for the folks of Evansville that were there, I'm sure they enjoyed the heck out of it. Everybody got a picture afterwards that wanted one. There was a lot of people from the university there. The athletics director, Fred Glass, Scott Dolson, and Anthony Thompson were there. A good friend of the show, almost call him a staff member, basically. The Todd father. Not staff member, but team member. Yeah, Indiana Sports Beat team member. Of course, Todd and I do the post-game shows, Indiana basketball post-game shows as well. I just fondly call that After the Game with Todd Leary. Just for the hell of it. But and one guy came up afterwards, too, and was talking to Todd and said, "Hey, the Todd father, man." And I was like, yes, I was right behind him when he said it. And he just looks at me and gives me this grin, which is kind of funny. This is something that just got started. And I think the people like it, man. So, Todd, you're stuck with it. But Todd was Archie talked about Todd thanking him for coming out. We'll hear from that as well. But I think he did that during that was with the open session with the public. But, man, we got a lot more to get to with that. We got a lot of Archie to hear. We're also going to hear from Michael Penix, the IU starting quarterback. We got some Stevie Scott as well. So plenty to get to on the program today. Lots to talk about, too, though. The Todd father, of course, will be with us on Friday to talk about what happened last night. We'll talk about all that. But we'll get into a little bit more of the Jerome Hunter update. There's IU beer and wine plan for the games. We'll talk about that as well. Just lots to talk about on that side of things. But before we come back, Jake, who we got as a reboot? Brian Evans. If you miss Brian Evans, and man, that's always a great conversation. Here's a chance. You don't have to miss him again. But on the program today, Matt Weaver from Peaks.com. We're going to get a little football in today, but there's a lot of basketball to talk about as Archie Miller made his first visit to the southwest portion of Indiana last night down at Evansville, talking to a crowd for almost an hour all told. But lots more to get to with that. So stay tuned here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle. We're back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
This successful life we're living got us feuding like the Hatfields and McCoys. Between Hank Williams' pain songs and Newberry's train songs and Blue Eyes crying in the rain.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Hoosier basketball player Nick Zeisloff. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios here at Bloomington, and joined by one of our favorites, Brian Evans. Brian, thank you so much for joining us again. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, and happy to be with you guys. It's always fun spending time with you, my friend.
Appreciate you as always. How's your summer been going? Summer seems to have disappeared on us, man. Everything's back and ready to go. It's football season.
No, well, you know what? I've got 4 kids and ages 8 to 15, and life's moving really fast, and we're having a ton of fun. Summer flew by. Kids are back in school, and it's kind of nice to get them back into school. but we're having a good time.
Man, growing up as a kid, summer times is just something you lived for. It was just some of the funnest times of your entire life is when you're a kid in the summertime and you go on the family vacations or whatever it is. Even if you don't go on vacation, this is the stuff that you do. There's just so many memories that are created in those summer months.
No, you're right. You're right. And I've got 3 girls, ages 15, 14, and 10, almost 11. And my son is 8. And my wife right now, I'm sitting in the living room. My wife is trying to get everybody to bed. And my son just cruised by in his underwear, his action figure underwear. And he's still in summer mode. He doesn't wear clothes. If he's around the house, he's cruising around in underwear. We tried to break him of that, but you know what? He's been resilient, and he just cruises around in underwear. He's the only dude in the house outside of me, and he just decided he can wear whatever he wants.
Oh, it's a great time of life, man. It's a great time of life. I saw you were in Bloomington over the weekend for the Victor Oladipo fantasy experience or camp that they had going out there. Looked like it was a lot of fun for you guys.
You know, it was. I really didn't know what to expect. You know what? I was thinking that it was going to be a bunch of Bloomington and people from the state of Indiana, and as it turned out, there was 40 guys, and they came from all over the place. It was way less Indiana folks than I thought, and there was like 13 or 14 guys coming from Charlotte, North Carolina. And when I first got down in Bloomington on Friday, I looked at this kind of the schedule of events and all these players that were. So we did a draft, and so I had one of the 4 teams I was coaching, and I had to draft these guys. And as I was doing my homework before the draft, I noticed all these guys were coming from Charlotte, and what I found out was these guys are just into this. And so they've done the Duke, Coach Krzyzewski fantasy camp, and they've done the Roy Williams, and they've done the Kansas and Kentucky, and kind of all the top basketball schools. They've been to them.
Wow.
And you know what? It kind of took me back. I didn't expect that. I just assumed it was a bunch of Indiana folks, and it was cool. So I ended up drafting 3 or 4 of these guys on my team, and there's a real intensity to this. I mean, these guys, they came to play. They came to be coached. They wanted you to get on them. They wanted to win. We were trying to play to win a championship. And, I got to admit, I didn't see this coming. But it was this fantasy camp thing, and I really believe that Indiana is going to try to build on this. This is our first year doing it. I really think they're going to try to bring more players back, guys like myself, so we can kind of fill the gym up, with guys that have played here and, in between games. I had a blast with my team. I told some old stories, and I know they were intrigued by the past. They wanted to hear stories of Coach Knight and, success that we had way back when. And I ended up having a great time. I admit it. I really had fun with these guys. They were really good dudes. Most of them kind of right around my age. I'm 45. And I would say the average age was, 35 to 52-ish. And, man, we had a good time. It was fun.
That's cool, and that's very unusual because you hear fantasy camps a lot of times to do with baseball and whatnot, but it's just they're going to go out there and kind of knock it around a little bit. But this is kind of a unique concept of really to have teams and to really be competing and all that.
Yeah, so the company that runs this, they're called Pro Camps. So anybody that's interested in looking this up, I have not gone to the website or anything, but it's called Pro Camps. And I will say this. There was way more competition than I would have guessed. There was on each team, so we each had 10. So we had 4 teams of 10, but the top 4, 3 or 4 guys on each team could defend. They could play. They could score. There was a really good on-the-ball defense. My top 3 or 4 guys, offensively were talented, and every team that we played, the top 3 or 4, guys in the other team guarding him were solid. I mean, it was good offense, good defense. I was happy I was not on the court. I was happy to be coaching.
Were there any injuries? Had to have some injuries in a game like that.
That's a great question. And there should have been more. There should have been more injuries, but all I saw was a couple tight lower backs, a couple strained calves. Nothing catastrophic, but there were some guys moving around a little bit gingerly the last day or two, for sure.
Dude, I remember the last time I played full court basketball, and I cannot imagine running up and down that court more than 3 times in a row.
Well, here's what I remember. So when I came in the gym, I came into Assembly Hall, one of my favorite places in the whole world. And it's so much fun to be back there, and to be back there with, not in the middle of the winter, no game. They had the, since the renovations, they've had these curtains open, and you could actually stand at the free throw line and look outside and look out to sunlight, almost like a field house. And I could not get enough of it. I stood there and I stood there and I stood there. I shot some free throws and I looked outside from the free throw line. I was like, gosh, this is just the best. The changes, and you got to give Fred Glass a ton of credit. It was just so cool to be standing in this place I've been so many times as a younger man, and to look outside from there was just so cool. The sunlight was shining in around noon on Friday, and then I turned and I looked the other direction. And I saw the other basket, and I got to tell you, man, I cannot believe how far it was away. It looks like it was so far. It was like a mile away, and I thought, how did I used to run from this end of the court to that end of the court? It just it blew my mind. I was like, I used to be able to run that far. It was crazy.
What was it like standing on the free throw line and seeing it? Because when you played, can you imagine it being sunlight back in those days, or being able to see outside from Assembly Hall? It's something that you don't think about because it's always nighttime and it closed off and curtains and whatnot. But that's something I don't think anyone's ever thought about.
Well, I did immediately. So I'd never seen it, and during the games they close these curtains, so you don't see it. It was bizarre for me to stand at the free throw line. You're looking to the south, and to see outside and to have sunlight coming in, it felt like a field house. It kind of felt like Hinkle. It was way, way different than anything I'd ever seen. But they've made so many great improvements. The facilities are not what they used to be. So, between Cook Hall, which is to me kind of hilarious, they're already renovating Cook Hall this summer. It's going under their first renovation. It's only been open for 10 years. To me, it feels like it opened, 2 years ago. They're already spending more money in there, making it more current. Assembly Hall, the locker rooms, they had to upgrade it. I understand that, but it is so good, and I don't understand how they don't they don't bring in the top talent in the country, because it is so nice. I was so impressed. I told Coach Miller, "Wow, you guys have really got top shelf facilities," because they really do. It is so nice.
What do you think it's going to take him to get that top talent in?
Well, he's getting it done. He's going to get it done. Archie has he's laser focused. He knows top talent, which is key. I think as fans, I was a huge fan of the program before I was lucky enough to play there, and now I've kind of slid back into my role of super fan that I'm really comfortable with. But he knows it. He knows that it all starts and stops with the state of Indiana. If you can own Indiana, you're going to be okay. After that, you got to go outside the state and maybe get 2 or 3 players, 2, 3, maybe 4 on your roster. But Coach Miller understands that better than anybody, and that's his focus. I spent some time with him this weekend, and he reiterated that is the focus on the state of Indiana. He goes, the talent is right here, and we got competition. We've got Butler, we've got Purdue, and, Coach Painter is doing a great job. We've got Notre Dame. So it's not a layup. You don't automatically get the best talent in the state because those guys are working their butts off to take that talent from us. But Coach Miller, he understands it, and his goal is, from 3, 4, 5 years from now is to lock it down. And so any young player that's coming up that's got a lot of talent that we've decided we want to have, they want to go to IU. And that's how I grew up. It was really Coach Knight, he got who he wanted. And Archie's trying to bring it back.
Absolutely, and the newest hire, Mike Roberts, is his new assistant coach, a former IU player, helping to do that, among other things. But I had Tom Coverett on last week, who was a roommate with him, and talked about how tough that Mike Roberts was back in the day. And that was one of the things that stood out, was his toughness.
Well, Mike, I spent some time with him this past weekend, and we've got Terre Haute in common. So I graduated from Terre Haute South High School in 1991. I think Mike graduated from the same high school in 98, I think. And then he went off to prep school. And he and I have that in common. So we were chit-chatting this weekend. He's excited to be back in town. I mean, he's paid his dues. I don't know if people understand how difficult coaching that profession is. And, if you think about the head coaches that make a lot of money and you focus on that, you're probably a little bit far off track. These assistant coaches and how tough their jobs are and the money they make or the money they don't make is hard to believe. And Mike has paid his dues. He's been all over the country. He's a Hoosier, and he and his wife and their kids, they are thrilled to be coming back to Bloomington. I'm excited for him. Like I said, I spent a couple hours with him over the weekend, and he's excited to get started and really thinks that he can help build the program.
And it looks to be heading in that good direction. I'm looking forward to that. And I know there was a lot of other former players there with you over the weekend that you got to hang out with. Was there anybody that you didn't know that was there?
You know what? Not really. I mean, Victor obviously kind of came through 2 or 3 different times, and it was great to see him, and we're proud of him. And he's brought a lot of visibility to the program. And I think he helps in a lot of ways with recruiting. When you have a guy in the NBA making all-star teams, it shines a great light on the program. And for Victor to be doing that with the Pacers is just awesome for the Indiana University program. Outside of that, the greatest player that I ever saw or was around, and my favorite Hoosier of all time, it used to be Randy Whitman when I was a kid. Idolized him growing up. But the greatest Hoosier of all time actually happened to cruise through Bloomington on Saturday while I was there. And his name, you probably don't remember him, but it's Calbert Cheney.
Yeah. We're going to Calbert Cheney High School tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. Archie Miller is speaking down at Harrison High School. Todd Leary likes to call it Calbert Cheney High School.
Calbert Cheney High School. Well, he is the best of all time. He's my favorite, and he's a better dude than he was a player, which is the greatest compliment I could give the guy. But he's as humble as they come. You'd never know that he was as great as he was. So he cruised through town. He was driving to Cincinnati to play a round of golf with some friends. And as he was driving from St. Louis to Cincinnati, he stopped in Bloomington. I was there. I got a chance to see him. So my first 2 years, Calbert was a junior and senior. And so I was a redshirt freshman and a freshman his last 2 years. And, I got a chance. I guess you could say I was lucky enough to guard this guy every day, but he punished me. And I took it on the chin, and I tried to, improve every day. But, man, it was not easy because he was at his last 2 years of college, he was unstoppable in games. And so as I practiced against him and he abused me, I started feeling really bad about myself. And then we'd play a Big Ten game, and we'd be playing, you know, Ohio State or Michigan. And then he would abuse them worse than he abused me. And then I'd feel a little bit better about myself because I was like, well, and he kicked my butt, but he really kicked their ass worse. And then I ended up, you know, growing some confidence out of the whole deal.
Coming from a man who played 11 years in the league, in the NBA, that says a lot.
He was so good. I mean, he was so good. Back in the day where it wasn't all about three-pointers, it wasn't all about dunks, Calvert had like that mid-range game. That little, you remember this, that little floater game where he was like silky smooth. He could run like a deer. You couldn't keep up with him. I mean, I'd chase this guy. You got to understand, in our practices back in the, you know, motion offense, I got screened, you know, thousands and thousands of times, you know, trying to keep up with this guy who was more athletic than me, quicker than me, jumped higher than me. I mean, there was nothing I had that could compare to this dude. But what it really did was it taught me, you know, being on the receiving end of all these screens, I really learned how to play in Coach Knight's offense. And
he can hit that baseline jumper like no one I ever saw. What is it like to be able to catch up with those guys that you don't get to see very often at all, but are from such an important time of your life?
Well, it was huge. I mean, it was huge. But I mean, when I say it, you got to understand, I was being abused by this guy. I mean, he was abusing me every single day of my life. Like, it was hard to get up and go to class the next day. I was getting beat up so bad by him. It's like, why am I here? I should be at Indiana State or Ball State or somewhere else because this guy is killing me every single day. But over time, I realized I was kind of closing the gap a little bit. I was getting better. Coach was coaching me really hard, and as great as Calvert was, I was kind of inching my way closer and closer, and realized, you know what, I can play here. I just have to, you know, be a sponge and take it all in, and really guarding Calvert every day for 2 years taught me how to play offense in Coach Knight's system. And it proved to be invaluable for me and really, you know, was the key to me getting a lot better over my 5 years.
Well, you did nothing but get better, like I said, playing 11 years in the NBA. What a tremendous, one of the former greats of Indiana. Inducted last year, the 2018, into the Hall of Fame for Indiana. Cannot thank you enough, Brian. We always love spending time with you and just having a conversation with you. Look forward to doing it again as we get closer to basketball season.
Hey, buddy, anytime. I got nothing better to do. I'm just hanging out in the living room right now.
With your son walking around in his underwear.
We got him in bed now. He's off to bed. But he was cruising around in his Superman underwear. I mean, it's the way it is. I'm not going to lie to you. That's what's going on here.
That's life, baby. That's life.
Hey, thanks for having me. And you know you can call me anytime.
Appreciate you so much. Brian Evans, one of the all-time greats of Indiana. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
I told you could always count on me, darling. From that day on, I made a vow. I'll be there when you want me some way, somehow. Oh, baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
I would say this season that we're coming in, the 1920 season, our schedule's probably out. I'm sure you guys see it. It'll be another very difficult non-conference, especially as we head into December. You know, in this day and age, with all the contractual games that you get, once you hit December 1st, you're pretty much going from December till March with every game that you can imagine in terms of a high major day. And our schedule's built for the numbers. It's built for the tournament. I think this year's will be really challenging. Florida State and the ACC Big Ten Challenge at home will be very difficult. Florida State.
There's Archie talking a little bit about that was him meeting with the general audience there, talking about the upcoming season and whatnot. Lots to get to. There's just a ton of stuff, nuggets that came out of that last night. One of them talked about Romeo, that he comes back and visits quite often. Sometimes he said he may be in this weekend. No stalking, but he says that sometimes he comes in, he says, "I'm coming in." He doesn't show up. Sometimes he shows up, doesn't say anything. And but he says, the funny thing is, whenever he does come in, he stays on Rob Finney's couch. He doesn't rent a hotel room. Typical for an 18-year-old kid. He's just an 18-year-old kid, minus the fact that he's a multi-millionaire. But he just stays on Rob Finney's couch. I'm sure they sit up playing Fortnite all night long. There was a kind of a funny deal that came out yesterday. The Big Ten all-name team. This was for football. We got a lot more Archie to get to. Don't worry. But the Big Ten came out with the all-name team. Indiana had quite a few names on that. First and foremost, right off the top of the bat, at quarterback, Michael Penix. He was first team all-name at quarterback. Your backup quarterback is Danny Vanden Boom, Some of these names are kind of funny. I can't even say that third one. The running back was Steel Chambers and Jake Funk. Fullback, Quan Easterling and Turner Palisard. Yeah, that's just a unique name. That's not as funny. Wide receiver, I don't know if I can even say that. Josh Imatorbahini. Jaden Kama. At wide receiver, Indiana's Wap Fillier. And True Thompson. And don't forget about the people, Donovan Peoples from Minnesota. Also at wide receiver, Aaron Cruikshank. Tri-Fafogel. Indiana getting a lot of, especially the wide receiver spot. Indiana's already got 3 guys in there. And I'm not even halfway through the offense. Offensive line, Axel Rushmeyer, Will Knutson. That's just like a Minnesota name there, but he's from Penn State. There's Ragwan O'Neal. And how did Raekwon Jones not make this list? I know he's on defense, but I already looked at it. He didn't make it. That just cracks me up. How about this on the offensive line for Penn State? Juice Scruggs and Cole Chewins from Michigan State.
Hunter Littlejohn didn't make it?
You know what? That's another good one. Yeah. I guess they didn't want – that would have been almost you could have put Indiana could have filled the offensive side up there. On the defensive side, some of these names I'm not even going to attempt to say. But I will attempt this one from Purdue. Samisi Fakasiki. Yatur Grossmatos from Penn State. George Karlaftis. In the line, Winston De La Boudreaux. Oh, yeah, De La Boudreaux. That's just a cool thing. Hello, Mr. De La Boudreaux. That sounds like a cartoon already. Micah Dutredway. Judge Culpepper. Oh, wow. From Penn State on the defensive tackle. That's a great one. Here come the Judge. I'm looking for some Isaiah Loudermilk on the line from Wisconsin. Dawson DeGroot, outside linebacker for the Illini. Tuff Borland from Ohio State. Nick Leader from Nebraska. But here's one of my favorites at middle linebacker. Derek Le Capitan from Minnesota. Oh, let's see. Richard Wildgoose, cornerback from Wisconsin. Owen Funkhauser from Ohio State. Dallas Craddoth from Iowa. Coco Azema, the safety from Northwestern. Oh, and here's a very fancy one, the cornerback from Ohio State, Mr. Lloyd McFarquhar. And then there's Kobe Knack from Wisconsin. That's your all-name team. Other special teams, Indiana didn't get any more on there. How about the kicker, Drew Luckenball? And his backup, Anders Gielinski. Punter, Isaac Gurkis. His backup is William Pristap. And then the long snapper, Cameron Cheeseman from Michigan, along with Brendan Shank from Rutgers. That may be part of Rutgers' problem. You got somebody named Shank on your team. Not good, brother. Not good. There's your all-name team for the Big Ten. I don't know who came up with that. I guess the Big Ten put that together, but kind of funny. We got a lot more of Archie coming up. I already played the Jerome Hunter update, right? There was another one I had pulled up already to go, but I don't see it. Oh, I think this is his first opening comments. Let's hear what Archie had to say when he first opened.
Oh yes, we're really, really excited. We took our time as a staff, and me in particular, really took
talking
our
about
time
the hire of Mike Roberts.
Not only doing our research about the perfect fit for what I want and what I want around our players right now, and what we could do to make ourselves better. Mike fit all of those boxes. One, he's a relentless worker. I think if you just study him as a player and then as his career has unfolded, where he's been, whether that's been a graduate assistant with Coach Knight at Texas Tech or working his way up at California in the Pac-10, moving on to Rice, and then, establishing UNC Greensboro here over the last 7 years as associate head coach and building a program. He's been involved in a lot, but he's really a grinder in terms of the way that he works. He also has a lot of toughness about him. He's a competitive guy. And I think when you come to Indiana, one of the things that I really have learned to appreciate is a fearlessness. A person that wants to be a part of what's going on at IU. And particularly the basketball program and that tradition sometimes can, put a little bit of fear in you. Like, wow, I didn't realize it was this important or this big of a deal. It is. And Mike being able to walk in those shoes as a player, follow Indiana as a fellow coach in the business, and understand that this is where his heart lies, and he's not afraid of that. That's important. That was a very important decision in finalizing that last step. But he's a proven recruiter. He's a proven developer. Takes a lot of pride in our players, which I like. And, he's he's been with us a couple days, already made a big imprint on me. And being able to get him in the fold full scale and bringing his family back to Bloomington is really, really exciting.
Coach, a lot of IU faithful here in the Tri-State. Just talk about, they're so excited to see you and to hear you speak. Just talk about how excited you are and what fans can get out of tonight.
I am excited. I love Evansville.
Well, that's a continuation of the clip I already played. Archie loving Evansville. Getting a lot of popularity. It's very popular on social media, that clip is. But that was Archie talking about the hiring of Mike Roberts. I'll be honest with you, kind of sucked in there last night in the media portion because there's a kind of a protocol when you do pressers. The TV cameras are usually in the back, so they don't block everything. Last night, the Evansville TV stations, first thing they did, set up right in front of everybody and blocked everybody. So everybody else has to kind of scoot up. So they've got 3 rows of tables set up, but nobody's using them because the cameras are blocking all those tables off and everybody's scooting up around in front of the cameras. It was like, this is dumb. And I even mentioned it to him, like, anyway, you guys can park right behind the first table? Well, there's not a stage. You're on a tripod. Lift it up. That's what that thing is for. They had wireless mics on the table. It's not like they're losing sound. Just funny. Funny stuff, man. Funny stuff. But we got a lot more Archie to get to. In the next hour, I'm going to play the entire Q&A with the media. But the rest of the week, I'll be pulling some clips off of the portion with the general audience. A lot of great little nuggets coming out of there. Talking about Al Durham, being more at point this year. So there's something to talk about. But we got a lot more to get to. Matt Weber's on the show today from Peaks.com. We're going to talk a little football. But we got a lot of basketball to get to. Met with Archie last night down in Evansville, making his first public appearance down there. Looking forward to get to all that. The Todd father was down there, so it was great to have Todd with us as well. Of course, he lives down there now, but all the none. But we're going to whip some Penix out and get to that. And hear from Stevie Scott as well. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Honey, what's wrong with you? Oh, well, you don't treat me, baby, like you used to do.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeart Radio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle coming to you, of course, from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope your week is off to a great start. We're at the midway point here on this Wednesday, August 28th. Lots to get to today. Matt Weaver, our football guru from Peegs.com, will be with us. We'll talk a little football, talk about Michael Penix being named starter. That's something me and Matt talked about a lot leading up to this over the course of his visits. Also, we're going to hear a lot from Archie Miller. Last night, he made his first public appearance down at Evansville, Indiana, at the Shoulders Family Commons Lecture Series, Evansville Harrison High School, otherwise known as Calvert Cheney High School. We had the opportunity to talk with Coach before he went out and spoke with the general public, and then he spoke for about 30 minutes to the crowd out there, and then did a Q&A session. If you're living in the Evansville area and had the opportunity to go there and didn't, you might regret that. That was without a doubt the most intimate setting I've seen Archie in. It was without a doubt the longest I saw him speak publicly, probably double, maybe triple the time he speaks at the Hubers each year. It was just a different type of format. So, he talked for like 30 minutes, then went into the Q&A session with the audience members, then did pictures with anybody that wanted one, signed autographs. Was very open and accessible last night down there. Of course, he spends a lot of time at Evansville here of late, just not making public speeches, but certain little young man that attends Wrights High School, Christian Lander, drawing a lot of attention. But one of the questions, actually it's a text into the show from Tim, I think Archie will be the coach that gets the Kentucky game back on the schedule, even if it has to be on a neutral court because they are afraid to come to Bloomington. Well, thanks for the text, Tim. But Archie was asked about that a couple times, actually, in the session with the media and then again later. But here's his answer in regards to that when he was with the media.
Yeah, since I got the job, it's always been a hot topic, not only with our fans and the media and both universities. It's always been a topic, and it continues to be on the table. I think our administration has done a great job in dealing with, number one, our staff, talking about it daily, talking about it, yearly. What's the approach with our future schedules? That's always been online. And then the communication with both administrations has been pretty much ongoing. I hope and we hope, and I believe that Kentucky hopes as well, that game will reemerge and it'll be a part of both teams' schedule. When that happens really has to deal with two people doing what's best for them. But I do think there's an ongoing dialogue daily that's something that both Indiana and Kentucky wants. And I know from our administration standpoint and our staff, that would be something that would be huge for the buzz in state, our fan bases and whatnot. It's one of those things that I think college basketball needs more of.
There you go. There's Archie's answer to that. He said it's an ongoing dialogue, which I'll be honest with you, I would like to know when was the last time there was actual dialogue between the two schools. Great question. I would like to have asked Fred Glass. Thought to ask Fred Glass that last night. He was in attendance as well. A big showing by Indiana down there. Pat Shoulders, who put this on, Pat and Ben Shoulders, kudos to those guys. But Pat Shoulders is a member of the Board of Trustees for Indiana University, so he's a very high up figure. But, a great showing by you. You had Fred Glass down there along with Archie, Archie's media relations director, JD was there. You had Scott Dolson there. AT, Anthony Thompson, the man, who, as Pat Shoulders correctly pointed out, a missed field goal against Purdue cost him the Heisman Trophy, no doubt in my mind, as Anthony Thompson would finish runner-up in one of the closest Heisman races ever. But he was on a losing team. Only one time has the Heisman gone to a guy on a losing team, and that was Paul Hornung back in, I think, 58 with Notre Dame. But that shows you how incredible of a run Anthony Thompson had that year. Sad that they didn't give it to him because he was on a losing team. I think that they should have given it to him. That's all the more reason to give it to him, that he did all that on a team that had a losing record. But that's I digress. But we got a lot to get to today on the program. Like I said, Matt Weaver's going to join us here. We're going to talk about a little football. Michael Penix, me and Matt had talked relentlessly about that leading up to that, both of us with the same mindset that Michael Penix was the guy to lead this team forward, but we didn't know how it was going to go. So looking forward to hearing what Matt has to say about that. And we've got a lot more of Archie Miller to get to as well. As a matter of fact, Jake, if you want to go ahead and hit that, here's Archie meeting with the media last night.
It's very, very difficult, and in particular, guys handle it in different ways, and for a guy like him, basketball means a lot to him. It's something that's been a part of, his life. One of the reasons he's, able to do what he's doing right now in school, pursuing a degree, has a lot to do with the game of basketball. So all of our guys, but in particular him, you take that thing away from him for the very first time, and they have to realize there's more to what's going on than just the game. You watch them adjust, you watch them handle adversity in certain ways, and with all ups and downs, emotional highs and lows, I thought he did a good job, and he worked really hard. He didn't have a normal, hey, I sprained my ankle type of a rehab. He had a lot different type of rehab, which was a lot of trial and error and listening to doctors and trainers, and sometimes you don't see the initial fruits of that type of a rehab, so you have to be patient, and he was. And he's in, like I said, he's in the best place that he could possibly be right now.
I'm going to start down here. What does Coach Roberts bring to the table?
I'm sorry, I missed the question. Can you repeat it?
Coach Roberts, your new assistant.
Oh yes, we're really, really excited. We took our time as a staff, and me in particular, really took our time, and not only doing our research about the perfect fit for what I want and what I want around our players right now, and what we could do to make ourselves better. Mike fit all of those boxes. One, he's a relentless worker. I think if you just study him as a player, and then as his career has unfolded, where he's been, whether that's been a graduate assistant with Coach Knight at Texas Tech, or working his way up at California in the Pac-10, moving on to Rice, and then establishing UNC Greensboro here over the last 7 years as associate head coach and building a program. He's been involved in a lot, but he's really a grinder in terms of the way that he works. He also has a lot of toughness about him. He's a competitive guy. And I think when you come to Indiana, one of the things that I really have learned to appreciate is a fearlessness. You know, a person that wants to be a part of what's going on at IU. And in particular, the basketball program and that tradition sometimes can, put a little bit of fear in you. Like, wow, I didn't realize it was this important or this big of a deal. It is. And Mike being able to walk in those shoes as a player, follow Indiana as a fellow coach in the business, and understand that this is where his heart lies, and he's not afraid of that. That's important. That was a very important decision in finalizing that last step. But he's a proven recruiter. He's a proven developer. Takes a lot of pride in our players, which I like. And, he's he's been with us a couple days, already made a big imprint on me. And being able to get him in the fold full scale and bringing his family back to Bloomington is really, really exciting.
Coach, a lot of IU faithful here in the Tri-State. Just talk about, they're so excited to see you and to hear you speak. Just talk about how excited you are and what fans can get out of tonight.
I am excited. I love Evansville. I really do. It's been one of the places that I've really enjoyed coming down to in my recruiting. The people that I've met here in terms of being not only in town and obviously back on campus, I can get that feeling like I do a lot of places in the state, but in particular Southern Indiana and moving over here, that there's great passion for not only our program, but Indiana University in general. And I think, when you look at the history of our program, it doesn't hurt that Calbert Chaney came out of this town, came out of this school, and had the career that he had, which speaks volumes. And like I say, everywhere I go, we're looking for that next great one. And, we're hoping that Evansville one day can bring a young guy to our program, and he can add to the tradition and whatnot.
Coach, you got a couple open scholarships and some big visits coming up over the next several weeks. Talk about your recruiting, where you are, and how you feel about that.
Recruiting is never ending, and it's nonstop. And on the way down, you figure more out about recruiting. On the way back tonight, we'll find out more. It never stops. And we're in a place right now where we're really trying to identify needs, skill level, competitiveness, championship players coming from championship programs are things that we want. And each and every time we feel there's a guy that we bring to our campus and we want him, we have an unbelievable sell, because we have an unbelievable campus. We have an unbelievable school. What's going on in just the last 24 months that I've been around in terms of facilities is incredible. So it's a lot of positives. And once they are able to visit, campus, the city, Bloomington, just in general, it's you leave with a great impression. So we're in a good place, and we have a lot of work to do, but that doesn't change. It never stops.
Coach, just back to I had a question about Coach Roberts. What does bringing a guy that used to play for Indiana, what does that bring to your team and your players, and what you try to preach to your guys about where they want to go, and for a guy that in a lot of ways has been where they want to go?
Well, I think being a player at Indiana is different than a lot of places. I think, it doesn't really matter where you go. You have unique experiences, but being at Indiana is different. It's a whole different ball of wax, and until you walk through those shoes and understand what it's like to play there, win there, lose there, be there every day, you really can't get a grip on it. And like Mike told me, I was on a national championship team in 2002 that played for it all. I was also on the first team, I think, that had a losing season in 33 years. I've seen it on both ends as a player. And, that resonated with me a little bit, to have a guy that had that perspective, because it's hard. In this day and age, it's a lot different even than he was there. Players and student athletes in general, what they go through on a daily basis right now with the media scrutiny or social media aspects of things, the exposure that they have, there's just a lot of attention given, and there's a lot that they have to absorb. So to have a guy that's been through it, that can talk them through different experiences that he's been through, is only an advantage.
I know every team kind of feels different now that the new guys are kind of integrated into everything. How does this one feel? What's their identity, you think?
I like our team. Our team has a great deal of versatility, and our strength obviously is in our size. And just in getting to know these guys and talking to them, humility is going to be a great deal for this team. A humble group that's willing to work, that's willing to care, about, maxing its potential. And that's what we've talked about a lot over the summer, but more importantly, as we've started off this fall, that's been the theme of things, is having great humility as a group. But it's a group I think has good versatility. Barring great health, every player on our team should anticipate being a part of a winning culture and having an anticipation that they can impact that thing, every day. There's not a guy that I look at and say, boy, he's got his work cut out for him in terms of getting to the floor. Everybody has an opportunity to play. Now, to earn that and develop that chemistry and culture that a team has to have to go through a season, a long season, we have to work towards that. But we have a good group of guys, and I think as we get ready to get started here this fall, it's a lot less about the bells and the whistles or the games down the road. It's really about the humble approach that we have every day, and got off to a good start and looking forward to tomorrow.
There's Archie Miller talking to the media last night down in Evansville at Harrison High School. The Shoulders Family Lecture Series going on. He was guest down there, and we got the opportunity to meet with him beforehand. We got a lot more Archie coming up. As a matter of fact, if you want to watch any of the any portions of that in its entirety, you can go to I've got clips out on Twitter, of course, and you could follow me there at Jim Coyle ISB, short for Indiana Sports Beat, at Jim Coyle ISB, or you can go to our YouTube channel. Everything is up there. I've got the Q&A session with the media. I've got it's kind of broken up in three parts after that of him speaking to the general audience down there. And then at the third part is actually the Q&A with the audience. So all that is there on the YouTube channel as well. If you want to go there and subscribe there, or you can go to our Facebook page. You can find it about any place that we have a presence, any social media presence. You can find that. We got a lot more coming up. Matt Weaver from Peaks.com is going to join me next. We're going to talk a little football. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Hoosier basketball player Nick Zeisloff. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Hurt today, but no pain.
Coach said that he thinks you're kind of a quiet guy. Does speaking out, leading vocally come natural to you, or is that something you need to work on?
I feel like it comes natural. You know, some people might not see it because I don't do it out in the spotlight all the time. You know, I go up to the player, you know, because I feel like just communicating to somebody one-on-one is a lot better than just out loud to the team, because some people just take that leadership different because, you know, some people might take it as criticism, but I make sure that nobody take it as that and make sure that everybody's on the same page.
There's Michael Penix, the newly minted starting quarterback for Indiana University, joined now by our good friend Matt Weaver from Pigs.com. Nobody knows more about the Indiana football program than Matt. Matt, thank you a lot for joining us as always, man.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate it.
Brother, we've talked about this for a long, long time. Both of us were on the same page, speaking the same page as Michael Penix did. And when he was talking about his leadership skills, we talked about both being of the opinion that he was the guy to lead this team, and that turns out that is the case. And looking forward to that, first of all. But this could be the dawn of a, I don't want to say a new era for Indiana football because it's so cheesy, but I'm telling you, man, with all the parts they have with Kalen DeBoer and having a dynamic quarterback like this, it could certainly be a page-turner for Tom Allen's program.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you know, the last couple of years, it's not like the offense has not been good. We talked about it a number of times. It's not like the quarterback play has been, you know, subpar. It just hasn't been at the level where you need it, you know, for Indiana. I mean, let's face it, Indiana's roster is a lot better. But still, you need some dynamic playmaking ability at quarterback to compete with some of the teams you're playing against because, you know, man on man, you just don't match up with a Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, you know, across the board. I mean, a lot of your guys can play with them, but they're just so deep and talented. So you got to have an X factor at quarterback. And as solid as Peyton Ramsey's been, and he's done a lot of good things, it's just not the kind of guy that you can kind of put on the game or the team on his shoulders and ask him to go win a game or to go make a big time play in crucial moments week in and week out. He can do it some, but you know, Michael Penix has that ability with his arm, with his legs. You know, this is the kind of guy that can make those kind of special plays that you need, you know, to have a chance to beat some of those teams that just where their talent level, you know, like I said, across the board is just better than yours.
And it's not just because of his arm as far as being able to throw it deep, which he can. He can throw it from here to your house, which is in Indianapolis. But it's because he can throw that 25-yard pass on a frozen rope between two defenders. He can throw that cross-field 15-yard out on a rope that the ball gets there so much quicker that the defense can't react and the play can actually develop. It's little subtle things like that I think are really going to help this offense, in addition to the deep capabilities.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting on Monday when Coach DeBoer was, and I think even Coach Allen might have said it too, when they were asked about him, you know, making the offense more dynamic, and they said it's not so much the deep ball, it's those intermediate throws where the ball gets there quicker and it allows the receiver to get outfield. You know, with Peyton Ramsey, sometimes the ball took a little bit longer, and it might be completed, but instead of it, you know, the guy being able to catch it, maybe go another 15 yards or whatever it may be, you know, the ball was usually caught and then the player was tackled immediately. So I mean, those seem like, you know, maybe, you know, not a huge deal, but those yards are big. I mean, a play that can go 8 yards or that can go, you know, 25 yards that only goes 8 or 10, that's a big deal. And that's where you know, Michael Penix has a real clear advantage over a Peyton Ramsey. You know, he gets that ball there quicker, and then that allows the guy the player to get upfield and to make a play, do what he does best in the open field, and that's, you know, whoever the skill player may be, make that play with the ball in his hands. And, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, that's where, you know, I talked about it. Those 10, 12-play drives, those are great, but they're so hard to do week in and week out, especially when you're playing Michigan State, Michigan, Penn State's defense, Ohio State, where they've got such great athletes. it's just so hard to continue to keep going 10 and 12. You've got to have some drives. You don't have to necessarily have an 80-yard pass or 70-yard pass, but you've got to have some big plays where instead of going 10 plays, it only takes you 5 plays to get down the field. It's just too hard to keep doing that every week against some of these defenses. It's just that's why the Indiana offense, I think, has struggled, why it's been tough to get touchdowns, and they've had to settle for field goals because it's just when you get, especially you get in a confined area, you got to make really accurate throws with steam on them. That's where Michael Penix, I think, could really shine.
Yeah, we looked last year. I think Michael Penix averaged something like, Peyton Ramsey rather averaged something around 8 yards a throw. Whereas I think that with Michael Penix, you're going to see because of the ball getting there quicker and the receiver or whomever it is able to gain more 4, 5, 6 more yards on that particular throw. Each play, you're going to see that per average throw grow to a first down each time. And that's crucial to getting those plays, getting down to the red zone, and more importantly, getting in the red zone, which is something that they didn't do all that great last year either.
Yeah, and another thing that's interesting that I've heard, and Coach Womack mentioned this on Monday, his ability to look off. And that's usually something that comes in time. That's usually something that an older quarterback has, and it takes you some time. That ability to look a safety off, that's so important at any level of football. But when you get against Ohio State or Penn State, like in these schools, they have these great safeties, these ball hawking guys that can go sideline to sideline. The ability to look a guy off, even if it just gives you an extra second, and with his arm, that's all he needs. He doesn't need a bunch of time. And then you look a guy off to one side of the field, come back to the other side. I don't care how athletic that safety is. He's not getting there before the ball is because Michael Penix just throws it too well. And I thought that was interesting. I've heard that from another defensive coach that, he's a guy that really scares them on the back end when, he's out there because of his ability to look you off, your safety off, and then come back and throw a seed down the seam. To a guy and just make you look silly. So, he's going to make some mistakes. He's a freshman. Defenses are going to confuse him some at times because even though he's a smart kid, he works hard. It's just, he hasn't seen a lot of this stuff week in and week out. But, he's also going to make a lot of plays. And so, there's going to be some mistakes and there's going to be some bumps in the road, some adversity. But, he was a terrific player at a really good school in Florida. He's seen great athletes and great players. And he excelled down there, and his numbers were terrific. And I mean, I think I'd expect the same kind of stuff up here at IU.
Yeah, that ability to look away. If fans look back last year, it seemed to me a lot of times Peyton Ramsey, and not to be a knocking on Peyton, but Peyton Ramsey kind of locked onto the receiver he was going to throw the ball to because it was going to be a quick bam bam, and that's where he was going. And like you pointed out, that ability to just give yourself that half a second. A lot of times that can result in one of those explosive plays that starts out as a 15-yard pass across the middle or wherever it is. But just that hesitation by a defender and with the speed that these receivers have, a lot of times that can result in a play going a lot farther than 15 yards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's where, if you can get a Nick Westbrook or a Watt Filio or whoever it may be, you get them down one side of the field. If you can look the safety off and you've got a one-on-one against whoever it is they're covering, even against some of the better DBs in the conference, I'll take my chances with that if I'm Indiana. I mean, you get one-on-one, and especially a guy like Westbrook who's big and athletic and, can go up and get the ball even when he's well covered. I mean, and Penix can put that ball. That's the one thing he's really good at is, I've noticed that in practice last year and this year. He can throw that. He's good at throwing that back shoulder throw, which is a throw that really needs to be more of kind of a, I would say almost like a frozen rope type of throw instead of a loft. I mean, you want to kind of get that quickly onto the back shoulder, and he can do that. And he obviously can make all kinds of throws. But yeah, I agree. If you can manipulate the defense with your eyes and then have the arm strength like he does to get it back to the other side of the field or whoever you're going to, that's really a big advantage for you on offense.
The opponent coming up on Saturday, Ball State, of course, a team that Indiana dealt with last year. They've played for quite a while. Back in the day, Ball State was a team or Indiana was a program that was very susceptible to losing here. I don't think that's going to be the case this week, without doubt, but you can never not give your opponent full respect, and Ball State is a Division I program that you have to do that to. What can we expect to see from the Cardinals, Matt?
Well, I mean, they've got a veteran offensive line. Those guys have all played together a bunch. I think all 5 starters are back. If not all 5-0, at least 4 are, but it's a veteran offensive line. They do have a quarterback who, even though he's not started a ton, he does have some experience. I think he started the last 3 or 4 games when their quarterback last year, Riley Neal, went down. Riley Neal has since grad transferred to Vanderbilt University. So, I think his name is Drew Pittman. He's the quarterback. They have a new running back. I think Huntley is his name. Big guy, like 5'10", 225 pounds. Their running back from last year left to go to Kansas State. So you got some new pieces there. Their receiving core is pretty good. Riley Miller, I think his name. I think he's like number 86. And the name of the other guy escapes me, but they got some pretty good receivers. I think it's probably gonna be tough to them to come right at Indiana. I think Indiana's defensive line, even though it's got some new faces, they've got some guys in there that might be tough for them to run up. But I would guess you'll see try to get side to side. Try to go horizontal as much as they go vertical. Try to spread Indiana out. See if they get some of their guys in one-on-one matchups. They like to throw the ball a lot. I would assume they'll do that, but at the same time, if you throw the ball, that's obviously can lead to turnovers and mistakes and stuff like that. With Indiana secondary, if the ball's in the air, I like their ability to go get it. And defensively, they're small up front. They play a 3-4 defense, and I'm not sure they have the personnel to run it right now. Their D coordinator is actually a good friend of mine, David Olson. He was at IU on the staff when Kevin Wilson came in. He's a great guy, good coach, but I'm just not sure he's got the players to run what he wants to run up front. So I think Indiana should be able to run the ball. They ran the ball well on them last year, if I remember right. So I think that'll be something to be able to do. They should be able, this game, if you control the line of scrimmage on both sides, which Indiana, you would hope they can, then this is a game where you should be able to pull away and win comfortably. But if you come out flat and you're not ready to go, which I can't imagine you're not ready to go in game 1 of the season, but if you're not and you make some mistakes and give up some plays on special teams or do some dumb things there, this is a game that could be probably closer than you want it to be. But I expect Indiana to come out. There's gonna be mistakes. It's game 1, but I expect them to come out and play hard and play with that edge and come away with the win.
Yeah, in this first game, I know as an offense, they're going to want to come out Indiana and be smooth and go through a lot of the plays that they're calling. But they're not going to show a ton. Of course, the winning the game is the ultimate thing. So it's not like they're going to hold back. They're not going to show the playbook, of course. But I think we're going to get a really good feel. I think the fans are going to get a feel of what Kalen DeBoer is doing different here. It's not this complete total revamping of the offense in the way I've understood it and seen it play out. It's just a lot of tweaking and using positions in ways they may not have been used last year. But I think it may be a little more up-tempo. I'm not sure about that, but I think that's going to be the biggest differences that people are going to see.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what the Kalen DeBoer offense. And like you said, I agree 100%. We're probably not going to really start. We're not going to probably see what he really his offense or his full kind of playbook or close to it probably till week 3. I would think the first couple of weeks will be vanilla because you shouldn't have to use a bunch of gadgets and kind of different things in these first 2 weeks. It'll be interesting to see, how much passing and, because like I said, these are 2 games coming up where you should be able to run the ball pretty good. Indiana's running back group is really, really good. It's so loaded. Samson James, is arguably, could be in the conversation for a top running back on the team, and he's not even listed on the depth chart. The true freshman out of Avon and Stevie Scott's terrific. Cole Guest is back. Ronnie Walker's had a good camp. So you got a big offensive line. So hopefully, you should be able to impose your will up front and run the ball. But, I think you're also going to, you want Michael Penix to have to, to get used to playing, get used to making some plays and making some throws and doing some different things. So, it'll be interesting if the Indiana running game is clicking on Saturday. I think it's going to be really hard for Ball State to slow down that offense.
Yeah, that running back room is so deep that we almost failed to mention Ivory Winters has decided to transfer out of there. He's just a shy kid from Missouri, but also there's a lot of guys in front of him that aren't going anywhere. Stevie Scott is so young; he's only a sophomore, and you got a lot of the guys you mentioned. You got Ronnie Walker, which is a little older, but Samson James and those guys. That's a deep room, man.
Yeah, it's a shame. This is sometimes. It's hard to blame him because it's his life, it's his career. But sometimes, I think sometimes young people make kind of knee-jerk rash decisions. They kind of see the small picture instead of the big picture. And I think he was going to play in time, but he was going to have to wait his turn. And he came from a small town in Missouri, like you said, and he was the big fish in a little pond. Now he comes here, and he's a talented kid, but obviously everybody else is pretty good too. That's at his position, and I'm sure it was tough. I think there was some homesickness involved, which is understandable. It's probably culture shock. Even though Bloomington's not a huge town, it's probably a lot different than where he's from in rural Missouri. So, wish him the best. It's a tough break for Indiana, but it's a position where they've got a lot of talent. We haven't even mentioned a guy like A-Rod Lloyd, who just got put on scholarship. He's a walk-on who has been terrific in the time I've seen him in Indiana. He's a guy that kind of reminds me of Ricky Brookins, not his playing style, but the fact that he's a former walk-on that you can put out there and not have to worry. I mean, he'd be a productive player. So they're really loaded at running back. And even David Ellis could play running back for you if you need him to, the receiver, who's probably going to get a lot of reps at receiver. He could easily play running back. I mean, he's that kind of athlete. So, it's a bummer. You hate to lose talented guys like that, but at the same time, if his heart's not in it, if he's not happy, then it's not going to work. So it's better that he moves on.
We always see the guys get put on scholarship, but not to this numbers, I don't think. We've seen quite a few, 3 or 4 here lately for Indiana. Is that a reflection of the talent being so deep that even the walk-ons are talented enough to earn a scholarship more so than in years past?
Well, I think it's a little bit. It's also there. It's kind of good timing for them. I mean, remember Indiana could have signed 25 in the recruiting class. They signed 23, so they had 2 open spots there, and then you had a little bit of you had some guys leave, like I think you had like a Sean Bonner leave. I'm trying to think what other attrition there was, but you had a little bit of attrition, so you had some open spots, which open and I don't think they can use Ivory Winters. I don't think they can use his tender because he had already started with the program, so they'll actually probably only be at like 83 or 84 scholarships for this season. Like a Ryan Smith, he left. I'm assuming they could use that spot, but it's just kind of good timing for some of these walk-ons. But yeah, they've got some good ones. I mean, A-Rod Lloyd, I mentioned him. Nate Snyder, the kicker, won the kickoff job. Jared Smolar had it last year, and he won it this year. Was put on scholarship. Connor Thomas, I think, is a running back who's a redshirt junior, I believe, and he's a guy that's worked in. Usually, those are the guys that get rewarded. Is the older guys who have been there for 3 or 4 years, and they're going into their 5th year, and they've been walk-ons, and they get rewarded for that, because it's not easy. It's not easy being a scholarship player in college football. It's even harder being a walk-on because you're basically never going to play. And so those guys, a lot of times they get rewarded for that, what they've given to the program throughout their career and get put on scholarship. But it's good to see, and I don't know if they'll all be able to keep them past this year because they'll need those scholarships back for the upcoming class. But for at least this season, it's nice to see these guys rewarded for their hard work.
All right, Matt, it's game week, man. I'm picking 38-10. Indiana wins this game.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that was the score last year. I'll go.
Was it? I swear to God, it was strictly coincidence.
I believe you. I'll go. Try to think here. I haven't even actually thought about a score yet. I'll go 41-14.
Ooh, wow, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised a bit, but looking forward to it. I can't wait to kick things off on Saturday, a noon game on CBS Sports Network. Indiana taking on Ball State. Matt Weaver from Peegs.com. Make sure you follow him there at Peegs with all complete coverage of Indiana. Matthew, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
Okay, man. Take care. Thanks.
You bet. There's Matt Weaver from Peegs.com. Also, we got a tour coming up today out of the new locker rooms at Indiana, so looking forward to that as well. But we got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle coming back. We got a lot more Archie to listen to as he was down in Evansville last night speaking in the Shoulders Family Lecture Series at Evansville Harrison High School. Stay tuned. Tons more coming back here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily, Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle here, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Finished up with Matt Weaver. Been listening to Archie Miller all morning from last night down in Evansville. This is actually from the portion of when he was talking with the audience, and he was talking about the older players, of course, the senior leaders, Devontae Green and Deron Davis.
For what we're doing. You're only as good as your older players, but when two of your older players are seniors that have played a lot of minutes, have a chance to define their legacy, so to speak, as they finish. They're always hunting those guys that want their senior years to be special. I think these two guys do. Devontae's going to be required to do a lot for us this year. I think in years past you tried to tame him and control him and make him something that at times you want him to be, and then at times he can really explode and do some things that everyone's like, wow, he's going to need to be that guy more than he is the other guy for us this year. He's going to have to shoot the ball, score the ball, make a lot of plays. I'm sure he's very disappointed in me saying that publicly right now, because he gets his opportunities to take advantage of the rope. He takes all the rope that he can get. But with great responsibility, he'll have his own challenges to deal with. But we need Devontae to be a very, very focal part of what we're doing. And then Deron really didn't get a fair crack at it physically last year. He tears his Achilles basically New Year's Day of his sophomore year. That is a hard injury for anybody, let alone big and carrying a lot of weight. And, he wasn't even 100% all year. And as he got into November and December, we thought if he could just play a little bit in November and lead it into December, we felt 1 year later after the injury maybe in Big Ten play he could give us some more. He was actually ready earlier and just could not find a way to get over that injury bug. Tore his ankle and his Achilles both bothered him. He ends up sitting 3 weeks, 2.5 to 3 weeks in January, which hurt us. And then once he came back in February, he gave us a good look at what he could do. Now, his challenge is conditioning level. He's over the injury. Now it's got to get into the best shape of his life. And if he does that, he'll have the best year of his career, which we just talked about to him today. He looks different. He feels better. And I think as we head towards October 1st, the slimmest that he can be, the most agile that he can be is going to be the best him. So we're working with him on that. Our third-year guys are Justin Smith, Al Durham, and Race Thompson.
There's Archie talking about the older guys. We'll get the other stuff later on. But talking about Deron Davis and Devontae Green, the two senior leaders, I would Harper guessed that they will probably be voted captains. But a little bit different leadership this year on this team. Both of those guys, I see them really accepting the leadership role. As a matter of fact, I remember talking to Devontae after last year's NIT at Assembly Hall, talking about that he was going to be the guy next year, or one of the guys, and asking him about taking on that role, and he was ready for it. He said he fully embraced it. And I believe that. You heard Coach Miller joking there along. You know, he's going to get some rope to do whatever. He's like, and he's going to take all the rope he can get. And that laughing that he's sure that Devontae hates to hear that he's going to get the ball more in his hands. But no, that's Devontae's game. And as long as it works, you know, Devontae was kind of like a guard version of Troy Williams from a few years ago. He just mega talent, just sometimes not always pointed in the right direction, but I'm quite certain that Devontae Green is working very diligently at harnessing all those skills because he knows he can be the guy. He is the guy this year. Right now, on paper, he is the guy for Indiana basketball. He's going to have the ball in his hands like Romeo did last year, but we're talking about two different players here. Devontae is a guy that can shoot the ball outside. He's the only one that shot over 40% for the Hoosiers last year. And Indiana needs that, all that they can get, as they finish the season 12th in three-point shooting in the Big Ten. Horrible. So they desperately need an upgrade there. I think that they'll get that with some of the players. But and Deron Davis, I've always loved his game. From the time he was a freshman, I remember watching him and this is going to sound crazy, but shoot free throws. He had ice in his veins. Now, things went awry his sophomore year. He couldn't at the free throw line, but that just seemed to be more mental and things going on. But, man, getting through all those injuries that he's had to deal with, the Achilles, the ankle, as you heard Archie allude to, the fact that they're going to slim him down, or they've probably already slimmed him down, and that a svelter Deron Davis is a better Deron Davis for this basketball team. But there's going to be a lot to hear from, and I guess we can go ahead and hear from Archie on talking about the next wave, the guys that are two-year guys on this team, guys like Al Durham, who is probably going to take more of a backup point guard role.
Our third-year guys are Justin Smith, Al Durham, and Race Thompson. Start with Race. Race had an unfortunate injury last year that hurt his progress because I think Race can help us. Now let's keep him healthy and let's move him into that realm where he can get on the floor a little bit this year, and I think you'll see a guy that knows how to play. He's physical. He actually won us the Wisconsin home game last year. He ends up playing like 20-some minutes. Guards Ethan Hatt, plays physical, does what he's supposed to do. Didn't practice literally a quarter of what everyone else did. Sacrificed his whole redshirt year and said, I don't care if you play me 1 minute, just play me. I don't want the redshirt year. I want to play. I want to help the team. I can help the team. And it went a lot to say about his character to not say, hey, this hasn't been my year. Let me save it. To come back and play sparingly or play some minutes. So he's selfless. He's a great teammate. He needs a fair crack at the injury bug. Hopefully it comes around for him this year because I think he can help us inside, especially in conference as physical it is. Justin and Al have now played as freshmen, played more as sophomores, and now counting on them to be leaders. You know, both guys are very smart kids. Both guys are
workers, everyday guys, and both guys have unique skills. We need Al to really learn how to stretch the floor, and we're also going to use Al as more of a point guard this year than he is off the ball. I think he can handle the ball for us a little bit more, which may free some other guys up. And Justin, as gifted physically as he can, I think the way we could use him this year, I think he could be a lot more versatile in what he's doing. But defensively, Justin can be an all Big Ten defender. He showed signs last year being able to guard all different types of players as a sophomore that he couldn't do as a freshman. And now, even as today's workout evolved, I started to look at him as a guy I could tell to do something or tell him to do something so somebody else could see it. He was actually my demonstrator. I was like, wow, we've come a long way. Justin's actually demonstrated for me out here. Where a few years ago, he was the guy we were talking to. So those three guys comprise of our older guys. So second-year guys, Robert Finney, Denise Anderson, Jerome Hunter, and I'll probably miss somebody. I'll come back around. Robert, as we all know, played a ton as a freshman. He logged a lot of minutes as a true freshman. If you could have told me he could have done what he did as a true freshman when we recruited him, I would have said, man, that's a stretch. But I didn't realize how strong he was physically, how tough he was, and how confident he was in himself in certain areas that young people struggle. Defensively, being able to bang, being able to be physical as a young kid, and not turn the ball over. He's a safe, strong player. If he doesn't get hurt last year in December, he has maybe an all-freshman type of a campaign leading into January. His concussion and the symptoms that he had really just stripped him of his confidence. He had to work really hard to get back. He got back at the end of the year physically, but when you struggle with your confidence shooting, you struggle with some of the things that he had going for him early, it's tough to get it back, and he fought through it, but he's now going into that second year with all those minutes, all that experience. You looked it down. He's looked upon as a veteran guy. The other two guys, Denise, although going through his freshman year, went through all the hard ups and downs, didn't see much of the fruits of success on the floor as maybe he had hoped, but he's prepared a lot more as a sophomore and stepped in and played. He's one of the strongest players on our team. He's 6'6", he's 225 right now. He's one of the better shooters we have. We just need him to be a little bit more solid in some areas, which he's learned to do, which I think he's more than capable of helping us. Jerome, everybody wants to know about Jerome, right? Jerome obviously didn't play last year. Unfortunately, dealt with a very, very odd leg condition that isn't easy to explain, even for some of the nation and the world's best. To his credit, their credit, they put an unbelievable game plan together with our doctors and our trainer, Timmy Garl, and being able to work with this kid through a very tedious and sometimes fruitless rehab. He's gotten to the point now where he's cleared to do everything, and we're really just taking it day by day with him. And Jerome's the guy that didn't get the advantage of being able to play as a freshman. He was there and did see, but he's going to have to start all over again. But Jerome is the guy that's 6'8", he's 225 pounds, he shoots the three, he can go inside and out, and he's a guy that we count on. And, knock on wood, let's hope for the best that he's able to contribute here early and work his way back, because I think he has a chance to be a terrific player, not only in Indiana, but in the Big Ten at this time.
There's Archie Miller talking about several of the players down through the roster. We heard him talk about Devontae and Duran early on, but then that last segment talked about Al Durham and Justin Smith. Al Durham going to be used more on the point as a backup to Rob Finney. The last 2 years they've been trying to land a point guard without success, and not a bad deal having that ball into a veteran's hands as a backup like Al Durham. Pretty confident with him having the ball, and you got a guy, he can shoot the ball. He's not devoid of shooting, so you're not losing a lot there. And then, of course, you got Rob Finney, who has – well, I shouldn't jump ahead. Justin Smith, let's stick with the third-year guy. Justin Smith is the guy that you heard Archie talk about, could be an all-Big Ten defender. And let's hope that's the case. And maybe stay more within the defined roles. If he's gotten better offensively, great. But if not, stay within the confines of what's best for helping the team. But he's a big body. He's a superb athlete. He's just been kind of inconsistent up and down offensively, but Archie talking in depthly about his defensive capabilities. Then you've got guys like Rob Finney, Demezi Anderson. Rob Finney, there's not a lot to say about. I mean, the kid was great last year. Had he heard Archie talking about the injury, if he not gotten that concussion, missing all those games, really kind of stunted his game a little bit, stunted his growth. But I think that all that's just water under the bridge now. And you've got a guy that's had a season as your point guard, your floor general coming back. That's invaluable. And then you get a veteran backing him up and Al Durham. Indiana looks pretty solid there. And I'm sure that Rob's been working on the shooting, getting that up as well. Then you got a guy like Demezy Anderson, who was brought in as a shooter. He's one of the best shooters on this team, if not the best, but he has had deficiencies last year on the defensive side, and not because of abilities, more of just not being in the right place, not picking up the right cues, not implementing the correct switches at the right time. Hopefully he's gotten past that with another year under his belt. Because if he can get his shot going and be on the floor, he's another X factor, a tool that you didn't see last year that they had, but they could not put to use. So there's the opportunity of this team being a lot better just because of all those things. Then you add the unknown intangibles of Trace Jackson Davis and Armand Franklin, the two freshmen coming in. Trace Jackson, obviously a big guy at 6'9", probably going to play a stretch 4. We'll see how that's going to work out for him. You got Joey Brunk in there, who's a veteran that you're going to be able to plug in there as well. That's going to help Trace Jackson's development immensely, I think, from a competition standpoint, going against each other in practice, playing with, complimenting. I think that's going to work out pretty well. And we'll see how Armand Franklin makes the transition to the college game. Obviously, a successful career as a high schooler, Indiana All-Star or whatnot. But when you move it up to Division I, it's a change. Everything's a change. Everybody's good. You come from being the best guy on your team, and a lot of times the best guy on the floor in the games you play in. That's no longer the case. You're one of 10 guys that were the best on their team, and probably one of 10 guys on the floor that when they were in high school were the best player on the floor. So hopefully he can step it up. No reason to think that he won't do that. And then he mentioned again Jerome Hunter and talked about his recovery and process and where he is and how, if he's able to play, that would also be an added bonus to Indiana and what they can do this year. But a lot to get to. It was a great program. Thanks a lot for having Matt Weaver on. We got to hear a ton of Archie. We got more coming up for him this week. We'll hear more. There's a lot to get to with that. Then, of course, on Friday, the Todd father is going to join us. Todd Leary was there last night in attendance with me when Archie spoke. Also, Tom Brew is back on Friday as well. He's got a great series out right now in regards to this Florida pipeline that Tom Allen has developed in the football program and how it has elevated this program. Indiana has more kids from Florida on it than any team in the Big Ten by far. I think Illinois has 17. Indiana's up. It's either 24, 26, depending on how you count it. But anyway, we appreciate everybody on the show today. Thanks a lot for joining us. We look forward to doing it back again tomorrow, as we will. For Matt Weaver, even for Archie Miller, for Jake, I'm Jim Coyle from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be back tomorrow. Until then, I will see you on the radio.